decided on a name for it just yet, but I'll go over the deck then real quick. It runs 3 Jotty Offshoot, 1 green, 0/3 land with Defender, and the landfall triggers every time whenever a land enters the battlefield. Under your control, you gain 1 life. I have 3 copies of that just for a little life gain, you know. Next up is Sylvan Advocate, 1 green, 1 colorless, 2/3 Elf Druid ally with Vigilance, and as long as you control 6 or more lands, Sylvan Advocate and land creatures you control get +2/+2. I have 2 copies in the deck. Early game, they're pretty nice blockers, but once you get, you know, at least 6 lands, he becomes a 4/5 beater with, and he's also a good blocker as well. Next up, I'm running 3 copies of Elvish Visionary, so 1/1/2 drop. That basically enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. So we got some draw. Try and pick out a card that we get. Up next is 2 Primal Druids, 2 drop, 0/3 Human Druid. Whenever he dies, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then you get to shuffle your library. So he's a good mana fixer if you're running low, say you need a second forest or something. You can just chump block whatever and get that second land you need. 1 Skyrider Elf, 1 blue, 1 green, and X. So the X is for the converge cost. Whenever he enters the battlefield, he gets a +1/+1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. So in this deck, you'll be getting +2/+2 counters total, or encounters total. So he'll be a 2/2 flyer. Just something I can chump block with, really, because the main part of this deck is built around, I'll show you real quick, Kiora, Master of Depths, and the man himself, Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. So I did throw in Jace, Unraveler of Secrets in here. The Emblem is going to be pretty helpful. I just did a playtest game on hard, just to see how the deck would play out and if I need to make any tweaks. And surprisingly enough, it ramped up pretty well. I got Ulamog out, was able to use Ulamog's Despoiler's ability to give him +4 +1/+1 counters, thanks to the 2 cards that Ulamog exiled. So he entered as a 9/9, and that's just fantastic. And of course, Kiora, she's going to be basically untapping a creature in 1 target land, and then we're going to try and aim for her Emblem. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may have it fight target creature. Then put 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens onto the battlefield. So that's one way we're going to just build our board up with a bunch of 8/8s and get Ulamog, but usually Ulamog's going to be our win con, just because of his ability to exile 20 cards off of our opponent's deck every time he attacks. So that's going to be a fantastic win condition. And of course, our other win condition would be Kiora's Emblem getting 8/8s on the board and just overwhelming our opponent. So next up we have Nissa, Steward of Elements, which is perfect for a blue-green deck, especially if you want to give her at least, I don't know, 4, maybe 5 counters when she enters the battlefield. That way we can just play a card for free. Her +2 is basically a scry 2. You get to look at the top 2 cards, and then you can keep them, or you can put them both on the bottom. If you don't like it, say you got enough land in play, and you the next 2 cards are lands, you can just scry them to the bottom. Her 0 ability is what really defines how many the X in her cost. It's 1 blue, 1 green, and an X. Excuse me, I'm still kind of sick, so just bear with me. Look at the top card of your library. If it is a land card or a creature card with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on Nissa, Steward of Elements, you may put that card onto the battlefield. So that's the ability that determines how many times you pay for X. So like I said, if you put like at least 5 and then 5 or less, you can just dump onto the battlefield for free. And then her -6, which I honestly don't care for. It could possibly help you win games, but it all depends on what's going on in that game first. So her -6 is untap up to 2 target lands you control. They become 5/5 elemental creature with flying and haste until the end of turn. They are still lands. Now, if they permanently stayed that way, that'd be nice, but just to use that ability once for 5/5 flyers and haste, I personally not too big on it, but I do like her 0 cost ability just to put stuff on the board for free. That's fantastic, especially say you're running Tireless Tracker and the top card's a land. Okay, that's a free clue right there. So it is what it is. I mean, you can use this however you want, but mostly we're just going to be putting stuff in for free with like enter the battlefield effects like Elvish Visionary. Bounding Crisis, our next card, is actually really good with that. 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless, 3/3 fish lizard with flash. I love this artwork, it's just fantastic. But whenever Bounding Crisis enters the battlefield, you may tap or untap target creature. So with Steward out, and then say Crisis is your top card, you can pop it in, tap down something, or untap a creature, like with, say, Exert. You can just untap it. So that's a pretty cool combo that you can do. I'm running 1 Weaver of Currents, another 3-drop, 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless, and then tap, add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Just a little ramp. Just enough to help us play like higher costs on early turns. 1 Imprisoned in the Moon. I don't know if anybody still runs this card right now, but I figured it's a pretty nice enchantment. You get to enchant target creature, land, or planeswalker. So say Chandra, Torch of Defiance, that's definitely a good target for this. Basically turns that permanent into a colorless land with tap, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, and loses all other creature types and abilities. This is a really good control card versus, say, a Super Friends deck, or just other devastating planeswalkers in general. Or creatures, like Ulamog, for example, would be a perfect, another perfect target for this. Another way to gain life for us, Retreat to Kazon. I'm running 3 copies. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you get to choose one. You can put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you can gain 2 life. So, mostly for life gain if you're low on life, or if you want to make your creatures bigger, just start pumping them up with +1/+1 counters. Our other ramp card, because I also run 2 explosive vegetations in here. Natural Connection. 3 copies. Search your library for a basic land card, put onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. 2 Sleep Paralysis. It's a 4-drop, 1 blue, 3 colorless. Enchant creature. When Sleep Paralysis enters the battlefield, tap enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step, so it's permanently tapped unless they get rid of Sleep Paralysis. Again, another enchantment just to target key targets like, say, Ulamog, or something that's very devastating or that's just completely kicking your ass. That's a good target for that. And I like the fact that it forces the tap, because I know some of them on here, they just have enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Well, that's fine, except they don't ever have to attack with it. They can block, but unless they tap it down, it's kind of useless in my opinion. So yeah, and then From Beyond is our search engine for getting our Ulamog or our other Eldrazi in the deck. Mostly Ulamog. Once we ramp up to 10 mana, this is going to be the main ways of searching for him, get him out of the board, and hopefully start winning us some games. Of course, 2 explosive vegetations. Just search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, shuffle your library, and then Kiora, Master of Depths. I actually just pulled her today, along with Ulamog. So my Battle for Zendikar set is now complete. I am super happy. So Kiora, let's see what she does. Her cost is 1 blue, 1 green, and 2 colorless. And she enters the battlefield with 4 loyalty counters. Her +1 ability, untap up to 1 target creature and up to 1 target land. That's going to be helpful if we need blockers or another land to cast, like say an instant. -2, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and or land card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. That works really well with Pulsa Marasa, or if you're running like a black, blue, green deck with zombies or something. Putting cards into your graveyard with zombies is always a good idea regardless. And of course her emblem, which is remove 8 counters. You get an emblem whenever a creature enters the battlefield. Under your control, you may have it fight target creature. Then put 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens onto the battlefield. Like I said just a little bit ago, this could be one of your other win conditions, along with definitely Ulamog. 2 Guardian of Tazims, 4/5 flying Sphinx for 2 blue, 3 colorless with landfall. I do love this ability quite a bit. Actually, I think works really well if you're using Nissa Steward's 0 ability to put creatures onto the battlefield, or lands. Well, for this case it'd be lands, but it's Kitefin that works with creatures. So for this one, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. If that land is an island, that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So just a nice way to sleep paralysis for a turn. And I'm running 2 of them, and we have ways of getting multiple lands in hand, so Guardian is, I think, pretty good in this deck for what I want it to do. Jace, Unraveler of Secrets, 2 blue, 3 colorless, enters with 5 loyalty counters. +1, scry 1, then draw a card. Basically set up the card that you're about to draw. -2, return target creature to its owner's hand. You can just bounce back something devastating that, you know, anything really. Like any creature that could do harm. Oh, what is his name? I'm having a brain fart moment here. He's a 4/4 dragon with exert, deals 4 damage to target non-dragon. He was just released in Amonkhet. Anyways, you can bounce him back. Bad thing is they could play it again and use the exert ability. And then his -8, you get an emblem with whenever an opponent casts his or her first spell each turn, counter that spell. I have to say, I really do love that emblem. So if they're running counter control, or if they have control cards and they go to counter something, if it's their first spell of that each turn, then it gets countered and your stuff enters the battlefield. Oblivion Sower is another good target for From Beyond. For 6 mana, 5/8. Whenever you cast Oblivion Sower, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of his or her library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. Now, in the practice game I just did, I got like 8 or so lands thanks to Ulamog. So, yeah, it's a pretty devastating card to play if your opponent's like land screwed, but they're being milled like 20 cards thanks to Ulamog, and then you put like, I don't know, say quarter of those exile cards are lands. You get them all, and they're just sitting there like, well, damn, I'm screwed now. And this also works well with Ulamog's the Spoiler. Again, when he enters the battlefield, you may put 2 cards of your opponent's own from exile into their owner's graveyard. If you do, the Spoiler enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it, so that he becomes a 9/9. And again, works wonders with Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Next up is Nissa's Renewal. 6-drop, 1 green, 5 colorless. Search your library for up to 3 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. You gain 7 life. I'm only running one of these just because it is a high cost card, and I don't want to load up on too many high mana costs. So I think 1 is enough, plus we got Retreat to Kazon for some life gain if we need it. But this card, Renewal, works wonders with Guardian of Tazim and Retreat to Kazon and any other landfall triggers that happen, Jotty Offshoot if he's still alive. So next up is our Spring to Mind. Spring, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle your library. And then once it's in the grave, you can play Mind for its Aftermath, and then you can draw 2 cards. Well, I didn't mean to take that out. And then, of course, the king himself of the deck is Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Costs 10 to play him, by the way. It's really expensive, but he's actually a fantastic card, though. He's a 10/10 legendary Eldrazi. When you cast Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, exile 2 target permanents. It don't matter what it is. Creature, enchantment, artifact, land. So if your opponent is, like, say, running a 3-color deck, and they're only on their 3rd color, they use, like, say, Forgotten Sanctuary, but that's their only source of white, you can target that and something else, and then they have to try and play another white mana just to be able to cast cards. So you can do evil things with this card, and it's just fantastic. He is indestructible, so Death Touch doesn't target him at all, like kill him. But if you put like 10 -1/-1 counters on him, that will kill him. But any destroy effects is negated, pretty much. But the main thing to work with on him is, for this deck anyways, whenever Ulamog attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. So again, Ulamog, swing, Oblivion Sower, get a ton of land. The Spoiler, make him a beefcake, really. And then if you already have Guardian out and you play Oblivion Sower, that's a lot of triggers to tap down. So there's a lot of combos in here that, you know, you could have fun. Of course, you can always improve the deck however you want to fit your playstyle. For my mana base, I'm running 6 island, 8 forest, 2 lumbering falls, 2 hinterland harbors, 2 rogue's passage. Main thing is to pay 4, tap, target creature can't be blocked. That's really good with Ulamog if you wanted to finish your opponent off, and then 4 evolving wilds. Again, I haven't thought of a name for this deck yet. So if somebody wants to be creative and wants to help with a deck name, I will definitely give you credit for creating it. But that is my blue-green, I'm just going to call it blue-green Ulamog deck for the moment until we get an actual name. But yeah, that's the deck for So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and don't forget to hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time for some more Magic Duels deck tech.